Stories are an interesting thing, especially the ones of the hero's journey. The story of characters growing and learning about themselves, and what they realized is their passion. Like Theseus conquering the Minotaur in the labyrinth, Achilles and his accomplishments on the battlefield, or the labors of Hercules so that he could prove his worthiness to the gods and rejoin them. As of lately, I've been organizing my room, and I've been finding various things related to Jiu-Jitsu that I wanted to do, or things I still am interested in. I've been writing journal entries since the start of my training, and now being that much closer to testing for my blue belt, I've been urging to recount and share some things I've done and how things came to be. This is gonna be a new segment on my channel where I'm gonna share some of my progress and my experiences. And as I get to where pre-written material ends, I'll just tell it from the current. So, in the dumpster fire year that was 2020, on a warm summer night, my best friend and I were in my pool after coming home from a relative's grad party. My dad had been invited by an old friend of ours by the name of Carlton to a barbecue. My dad met him at work back when I was an infant, and Carlton had owned an MMA gym, and my dad began training there with him. My mom also did some exercise-intended boxing there too. My older sister and I would go there too and hang out with Carlton's kids, which I didn't remember too much. After years of my parents being caught up in raising us kids, they were forced to stay away from the gym and focus on us. Carlton had invited my dad to meet a black belt by the name of Keith Olin, and my dad brought my mom with him. When they came home and they told me, "Hey Bubba, you're doing jiu-jitsu tomorrow," I was irritated that I had no say in it. It was ridiculous. I had work tomorrow anyway. So it started off like any day at the time. I was working in a tasseling unit early in the morning. Mom drove me up to the village pavilion where a bunch of other jackasses who, just like me, had to resort to the fields to make money were staying. I kissed her goodbye and I talked to my best friend, whom also worked there, while we wondered what I was supposed to expect from that night. When we got off the bus, my friend's gear kept falling apart, which was funny. "Damn it, dude, you gotta replace it," I'd say. You could always feel the cold in the air and freeze your butt off in the wetness of the corn, to where you had the urge to pee your pants to stay warm. Lucky for us, it was a quick day and we got to go home early. My friend and I walked to my house and showered. My gi had come in. It was blue. When I put it on, it felt kind of cool. I tied the belt best that I could. Since Carlton had basically known me almost my whole life, and my cousin Dylan would also be there, I could rest easier in the idea that there were people I would know. Sure enough, we got to the gym. I would come to chant the name of Crowesnest. Carlton welcomed us with open arms and introduced me to everybody. That day there were Justin, Kate, his wife, Wendy, Scott Jr., blonde-haired Michael, Jared, Michael Hartman, whom was known for his long limbs and flexibility, Rob, whom was typically made fun of by the group, and Derek, who was quiet, collected, and still comes off to me as the stoic judoka of the group. We did some warm-ups. We tried keeping up best we could, and I learned an armbar from topside control with Jared in the corner, which, yes, I still remember the exact place. But we ended. I went home, and no matter how many times I ran over it, I couldn't wrap my head around it. My dad said it was the beginning of something big. So on my birthday that year, I was celebrated on Facebook by Carlton, whom I'll call Master Rolf for your sake. He posted on my timeline saying, "Happy birthday, Ninja!" And that night, I got my first birthday roll. How it worked was, for however old you were, you would roll with separate people non-stop for that amount of time. I went against Justin, my cousin Colin, who started training after a bit, Wendy's son Devin, Braden, and Scott Sr., who was Scotty Jr.'s dad. Wendy, Jared, Rob, and Dylan. I wasn't forced to tap once, so it was a moral victory for me. During this time, the more I came, the more I gained. In rolling, I was spazzy to stay active and survive. at first. After a month or so, something changed. In drilling, it was slow because I'd watched the documentary Choke that detailed the mentality of the great Rickson Gracie, who quickly became my favorite fighter and Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. And through watching him, it inspired me to train harder, but to be more relaxed. Eventually I began to solo drill after Master Rowe sold my dad some mats for our garage. My first stripe eventually came, and I wanted more. Through the drills, I discovered the power of leverage, a weapon every Jiu-Jitsu needs. I even began to help with other activities like stacking wood to heat the gym to get more involved. Soon, Master Rowe's kids came back to training and brought friends with them. His daughter Leah was never dull to be around. Tanner, whom I'd known from the earlier years of Crowesnest, super chill and fun as well. Through all this, they and everyone else began to really support my progress, and I started to run my way through all the stripes. One day, I was ready for a new rank, or so I thought. My drilling dummy had been a white belt like me, and during which I was too close and punched him in the jaw on accident. That was the last time Master Rowe ever let a white belt drill on another white belt, though. Second time, I couldn't remember what I was doing. I continued to train outside drilling and eventually considered getting a haircut, which started from a Goku haircut that's probably playing on the screen right now, which I wished I'd had that when stacking wood. But during this time, I tried to think of what I could do outside of drilling, afterward, and just keeping my confidence. The night before my third try, I slept in my gi for good luck and to get comfortable. Leah gave me best wishes and would even peek through the curtain every now and then. That day, I decided I was done. Tired of being a white belt, I wasn't going to give them any reason not to pass me. Thought to myself, just me and my partner. That was all that mattered to me at that moment. Later on, after we were done, I tried to roll, but my brain and body felt beyond fatigued. All weekend, I was anxious to learn whether or not I did horrible. The next Tuesday I came back, and everything seemed normal until we circled up. Mr. Rowe told me to stand up and asked me my belt size. I couldn't believe it. He revealed to us that on the day of my testing, he had sent my footage, and within a few short hours, my results were in. He said it took everything not to tell my dad, by ghosting him, of course. He tied it around my waist and told me not to go to sleep while choking me with my white belt. I tapped and announced to the universe that I was no longer the same rank. Everyone clapped. Dylan hugged me, since he had worked with me every class on being my dummy. Came over and hugged me so tight. Since it was Rob's birthday, we did his birthday roll to the Mortal Kombat theme. I tapped to the newly found leg locks that I would soon use potentially. I went home and surprised my dad and felt pride knowing that now I could finally move up to the next level. If you like what you've heard here, be sure to subscribe to Crowesnest BJJ on YouTube and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.